This is Darth Cerberus from the ANZ GC Guild Alliance, and you're listening to the Escape Pod cast. This show was recorded in front of a live studio audience. Remember, we all start in the same place, the only difference is time.
One is a Grand Arena specialist from the UK. The other is a territory battle tactician from the US. Together, there are no signs of intelligent life on board. With both having played this game since launch, the one thing we are sure of is that you will be entertained. The CFH Network presents the Escape Pod Cast, a service of the Escape Pod Castaways. A weekly podcast about the mobile game Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Live from the network studios of Yavin 4, here are your hosts, Neil Andrew Eyre and Paul Anthony.
Coming up on this week's edition of the Escape Pod Cast, General Anakin Skywalker has arrived, but you likely already knew that. We will give you our takes on the kit, the event, and the fallout. Content creator It's Just Ian sits down with Neil and I and theorycrafts an interview on the incoming transmission, and we give you an update on the Horde account. All this and more along with the comments and questions from our live listener lounge as we bring you, yes, this live edition of the Escape Pod Cast.
The Escape Pod Cast News.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Escape Pod Cast. I'm your host, Neil Eyre, and I'm joined, as always, by Paul Anthony, and we do have breaking news right now. This very instant, Ranger has just done Tier 2. Oh yes, he's finally done it, literally 60 seconds ago, after 6 hours of streaming. Ranger has passed Tier 2.
Well, congratulations, Ranger, on that. We're excited for you. That is absolutely awesome. Now, the question is, does he have all the characters for Tier 3?
Oh, that's a tough one, that, isn't it? I mean, I think we'll have to we'll have to go.
Well, let's look at that in a little bit. In a little bit. Right now, let's check out. We already know. People already know. General Anakin Skywalker is here. He's the new epic confrontation. But what does his kit look like? The first thing that popped out to me was the first ever Zeta on a basic.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. I thought it was a typo. I genuinely thought it was a typo, but it's not, because it's got final written on it. So, I must admit, I was surprised by that.
Yeah, so it deals damage to target enemy. The attack can't be evaded, and it ignores defense when Zetaed. That's a little powerful.
Just a bit, yeah.
So, it's... And here's another thing. If it's the first ability that Skywalker uses during his turn, he immediately uses an ability called Telekinesis if able, and that deals the damage to a target enemy, and if possible, it will critically hit enemies with Armor Shred. So, where's this Armor Shred coming from, or does it apply Armor Shred? Also, if the target enemy is dazed, reduce General Skywalker's ability cooldown by 1, and it ignores, once again, another move that ignores defense.
It's just so over the top. It's just so OP. I mean, forget about power creep. It's more like power leap.
Yes, that's...
This is not power creep. This is power leap. I mean, can you imagine what that is going to do to somebody when the guy is 7 stars?
There are some people that already have 7 stars, but for the layman that just finished going out and getting Malak and saving up for Malak or gaining their guild event tokens to get Malak, it's going to be 4 months until they, and we're jumping ahead by talking about this. We'll jump back to the kit here right away, but it's 4 months until 7 stars unless you were a hoarder. Now, the first special ability that he has is called Sundering Strike. And it does inflict armor shred. So, telekinesis, there's the armor shred. And then also getting the armor shred, and if they're also dazed, the attack deals double damage. And if that's the first ability that Skywalker uses during his turn, it resets Force Grip, which is the next special.
Yeah. To a theory crafter, everybody's now looking at everyone's now looking at characters that do mass days.
Yes. So Force Grip, and this cooldown of 3 can become a cooldown of 1 if it's the first ability that you use. If you use Sundering Strike, deal physical damage to all enemies and daze them for 2 turns. There's your mass daze. If possible, this attack will critically hit enemies with armor shred. There's the armor shred again.
Yeah.
And then, if that's the first ability that you use, reset Sundering Strike, which is also a cooldown of 3. So, he leads with, I would say, Sundering Strike. I think in this case, inflicting the armor shred is what you need to do at first with your abilities. Inflict armor shred, then do a furious slash, and then do a force grip, and then sunder, and then force grip, and then sunder, and then force.
Yeah,
it just goes back and forth.
It just keeps going backwards and forwards. Yeah, I mean, but when I saw the resetting of the cooldowns, it instantly made me think back to when we got original Chewie, because his second, I'm pretty sure that his second, if you hit certain criteria with his second special, it reset his first special. So you could use your first special, which was an AoE. And then if you hit your second special, and there was, I can't remember it off the top of my head, if that hit special criteria, then it would instantly reset the cooldown of the first special. So it definitely seems to be, the resetting of cooldowns definitely seems to be something that they're bringing in regarding these legendaries and these special event characters, resetting cooldowns if they do something specific.
This is way more than a legendary character, though. This is an epic confrontation. We won't see him again if they follow that cadence for another 4 to 5 months. And who's to say, when exactly that's going to come back? We had the Darth Revan, or we had JKR and Darth Revan, back and forth, if you will, when it came to Malik. But there's so many things, and we're going to get into the event, I promise, guys, but there's so many pieces of this puzzle that you need for this event that it's like, wait, what is the character that you use to bring it to us 2 weeks later or whatnot? By the way, Furious Bowcaster is his second special deal, Chewie's, by the way. Deal physical damage to the target enemy and stun them for 1 turn, and if the target has no protection, reset Pulverizes ability. And then
that's it.
Yeah, and then Pulverize is the mass dispel. So
yeah, the mass dispel. So useful, very very useful to have, and it's one of the specials that makes the CLS trio such a valuable squad, an undersized squad in GAC. Having those Chewie's abilities maxed out guarantees you can go in and win with an undersized CLS team against most opposition.
Oh, it's a wonderful. I love the 3-man CLS team.
Oh yeah, it's an absolute cracker in GAC. Is that one? So
here's the thing that is making a lot of people freak out about Anakin, and it's his leader ability. And I want to mention final text: all units cannot be revived. So that includes your units, not just the opponent's units. So keep that in mind. That's one thing that not a lot of people were looking at directly. Now, all 501st allies have 50% additional critical percentage of critical damage. And then when an enemy gains a buff, 501st allies gain 2% offense stacking until the end of the encounter. That, with buffs being able to be spread around by certain other characters, is going to be interesting. Now, when there are other 501st allies, General Skywalker can't drop below 100% health. He advances if he has 100% protection, and he takes cover if he has 0% protection at the end of every turn. So when he takes that turn, he either is advancing or he's covering. He's advancing or he's covering. It removes all other status effects when he covers. And by the way, when he covers, have you seen the animation, Neil?
I have seen the videos, yes.
So
I'm trying to avoid them on my tab because I don't want to slow the PC down too much while we're recording.
But when he covers, he kneels down. I call it cower. I don't call it cover. So, leaves cover and takes a bonus turn when all other 501st allies are defeated. So he's kind of his own raid boss, if you will. Mm-hmm. Now, when he's advancing,
and that is it is a new thing as well. You know, get on your knees. That's all people say is like, get on your knees, Anakin, during the event. So it is a new animation. It's kind of cool.
Well, here's the thing. When he's advancing, he will taunt, and it cannot be dispelled or prevented. And other 501st allies can't lose health. They can lose protection, mind you, but they can't lose health. When he's in cover, he cannot be targeted. AoE can still hit him. He's immune. Pardon me. That Jerry Coke went down the wrong pipe. He's immune to damage and status effects. And his speed is set to 0. Now, I love that his speed is set to 0 because there is a droid. The droidica deals damage that, unfortunately, it can't be targeted, but if you kill everything else around it, and his speed is set to 0 at that point, you could lay some major damage with Droidica. And by the way, he recovers 10% protection and turn meter at the end of every turn. So his speed is set to 0, but he recovers 10% turn meter at the end of every turn, and that can't be prevented.
I think that is what the theory crafters are going to work on. That when he goes into cover, now, he can't be targeted, and obviously he's immune to damage, but with his speed set to 0,
effects. He can be damaged. He's immune to damage and status effects.
Oh, right, okay. But he is going to recover 10% protection and turn meter at the end of every turn, and that can't be prevented. So even though he's not, can't be targeted, every time somebody takes a turn, he's still going to recover protection. So unless the attack, the AoE being dealt, is going to go over the top of that 10% protection, he's going to come out of cover pretty much fully restored.
Yeah, and he can't, exactly, but I just noticed, and here we go with the theory crafting. I'm going to go ahead and point out that I can't read, apparently, or didn't remember what I read. Can't drop below 100% health. So, even, while there's other 501st allies, so even if somebody gets a hold of him, he still can't drop below that 100% health. Mm-hmm. Bugger, as you say.
Yeah, exactly, bugger. And like I said, because of the recovering 10% protection and turn meter at the end of every turn, which can't be prevented, the theory crafters are going to be looking for some way to hit everybody else with AoEs that negate that 10% protection, or when he comes out of cover, he's going to have full health and full protection, and then he's going to start romper stomping all over people.
And he'll have the taunt, which can't be dispelled, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
So
it's just Ian has got him. So
He did get him. Nice.
Yep, it's just Ian got him. I saw it. It was in the chat for the for Rangers stream. So it's just Ian has got him. Got him quite cheaply as well. Some characters with some very low gear levels apparently, but he's got him. So I imagine Ian is going to be having oodles and oodles of fun. So it's going to be very very exciting to see what theory crafting he does with General Skywalker in the coming days. So everybody definitely needs to keep their eyes peeled to his content.
Well, I mean, if you guys are listening live, of course, you know that we have this recorded interview with Ian coming up here momentarily that, we'll tell you why we think that you should definitely pay attention to Ian's stream coming up here after the Escape Pod cast for kids and story time with the llama. So, Anakin's got, General Skywalker. But by the way, the proper acronym for him is GAS. It's GAS.
Everybody's going with GAS. Although somebody did legitimately point out the other day that there's no A.
There is no A, but GS is either Geospy or Geosoldier.
Yeah,
we already have that.
Yeah, we already have full use of that acronym. So yes, so GAS does make things easier so that people don't get confused.
Yeah. So Gas here, he has two uniques. So we've already seen two Zetas on the basic and the leader. His first unique, the Chosen One, he uses an additional ability during his turn. So remember back to if that's the first ability Skywalker uses during his turn. You could go back and forth between, doing the Sundering Strike and then the Force Grip and then moving along. Mm-hmm. You could do the first ability. So I got ahead of myself when I talked about, starting with Furious Slash and then doing Sundering Strike and then doing Force Grip on the next one. And then using Sundering again. He gets an additional ability. Whenever he is critically hits an enemy during the turn, increase the cooldowns by 1, excluding raid bosses. Of course, they don't want to break their raids with this broken character, which can't be resisted. And if he is critically hit, he dispels all debuffs on himself. And, by the way, if he's critically hit, he dispels all debuffs on himself. Enemies attacking out of turn can't critically hit. If the target enemy has no protection. I mean, this thing reads like how do we counter this? How do we counter that? If the target enemy has no protection when Skywalker uses an ability, reduce their current max health by 20 for the rest of the battle. So that goes against Grievous right there.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's an insane amount of power. It really is. I mean, let's just hope that the thing is, until people start using it, we're not going to know if the kit is actually working as fully intended, because we have had occasions where new characters have come out and they've had various different mechanics, and sometimes those mechanics work and sometimes they don't. So let's hope that things don't get screwed up with this character, because a lot of people have paid a lot of money to get this character.
Yep. It's crazy. It's crazy. By the way, if anybody has questions or comments while we're talking here, you are more than welcome in the listener lounge to throw those up if you're listening live on Discord. If not, get in Discord. We do this show every Friday at 6:30. 6:30 our time, 7:30 Eastern time. And we'd love to have you. Plus, if you are a Patreon of the show, which we'll have details about how to become a Patreon coming up in the break in a little bit. You can interact with us on Discord in many, many, many different ways. And see Patreon for more details. Now, let me see. Who did I promise that I would talk about this real quick with? Gotta go in the bullpen. Oh, I have to give props to Colonel Matt88 for pointing this out. Unique number 2. Would you please tell me the name of unique number 2, Neil.
Hero with no fear.
But he's not immune to fear.
That's a good. It doesn't say that he's immune to fear.
But
you'd expect that, wouldn't you?
He's a hero with no fear, so he should be immune to fear.
Should be immune to fear. Yeah, you'd think they'd include that in the mechanic, especially with a name of a unique such as that.
But
yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Here's the entire text for that. At the start of the battle, Skywalker gets plus 25 defense, 15 max protection, and 25% tenacity for each other 501st ally until all other 501st allies are defeated. So once his supporting cast is gone, it goes away, which equates to 100% additional defense, which equates to 60% more max protection and 100% tenacity. So, and if all other allies, 501st allies, are at the start of the battle, he also gets a 100% counter chance and a 50% increase in critical chance. And
yeah.
If all allies are 501st at the start of the battle, he also gets that when all other allies are defeated, Skywalker can't be critically hit. So go back to the whole thing that if he's critically hit, it dispels all debuffs on him. I think that is going to be his kryptonite. You can stack
so?
I think that you could stack debuffs on him once you get all those other guys down. Now, and also, he gains 35% turn meter after every enemy turn. So, killing the debuffs, that is the... killing him via debuff, once you get his buddies down, is going to be the key. If I'm reading that right.
I think you've got that correct.
Yeah.
But we're not going to know until people start really testing this. Yeah. And hopefully there'll be. I mean, there's got to be some content up by this weekend. There has to be. I'm sure Arnold is going to town on his because I think he was the first person to get it.
I also saw, and I'm going to reveal this. I have insider information on the counter to General Skywalker, and then once I say this, we're going to go to a break. Okay, Nev?
Okie dokie.
All right. So the next, and you guys are hearing this first, right now. The counter to General Skywalker is sand. We'll be right back.
The Escape Pod cast with Paul Anthony and Neil Andrew Ware.
Micaeus Modding Mayhem is the premier remodding service for the game that we all love, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. With some of the most affordable rates in the industry, Micaeus will rebuild your roster from top to bottom and give you consultation on where to go from there. Micaeus has a 100% satisfaction guarantee and lots of useful additional services, including a full cleanup of your mods, loadout pages, PvP plans, and more. Contact Micaeus today on Discord at all lowercase Micaeus number 0127. That's MIKAYAS number 0127, or at micaeusmods@gmail.com. Micaeus Modding Mayhem, the official remodding service of the Escape Pod cast.
Did you know that if you signed up to become a Patreon, you could get tons of rewards? Force Ghost Scotty could do a roster review for you. Neil Andrew Ware could share Grand Arena tactics. Or Paul could even help you get maximum stars in Geonosis Territory Battle. And you even get access into the after show. Sound good? Sign up to be a Patreon today. For as little as $2 a month, you could unlock a ton of potential content and also get closer to the hosts. Head to patreon.com/The Escape Pod to sign up.
Hey there, Escape Podawans. Everyone's favorite llama here to remind you that the Escape Pod cast is on social media. That's right, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. So give us a like, give us a follow, and stay up to date on all things in-game and in the Escape Pod. Our account links are down in the description or on our Discord server in the Show Links channel. See you on the net!
The Escape Pod Cast.
I'm not going to, I'm absolutely not going to apologize for that joke, Neil. I'm sorry, no.
Hey, I didn't laugh, but then, sometimes I have a very, very dry humour. It's one of those dry humour days where I don't find anything funny.
All right, welcome back to the Escape Pod Cast. We're talking about what everybody's talking about, but we're giving it our own Escape Pod twist, as we always do. It's General Skywalker. Everybody and their mama wants to talk about General Skywalker, but first, the devs are tracking you, Nev. Yes,
they are. The devs are tracking me. I'm being spied on. As we discussed in last week's show, the people at CG have decided to create a dev tracker, so anybody can log on. It's on Trello.com, and it's a Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes developer tracker, and you can look in there and you can see what the dev tracker FAQ is, what the update notes are, what the general bugs are, unit bugs, basically everything that's been reported to them, and it'll tell you if it's in progress, or if it's ready to release, or if they're investigating it, or if it's been fixed. And I think it's great that you can check out on all of these various different issues. And when I looked at it today, lo and behold, I saw unit bugs, and it says GAC disappearing after joining, and I'm like, hey, hang on a minute, that's something that I've complained about, because it happened to me during the last GAC the last GA championship. So I click on it, and what does it say? Description: player report that they joined Grand Arena, then once the matchmaking was done and the setup phase started, the event disappeared for them, and they weren't able to enter or participate in any rounds. And the report is from the forum post that I put on the actual Galaxy of Heroes Star Wars EA.com discussion forum, which was basically GAC still having issues when the very thing that you report on happens to you. And basically it happened to me during phase 2 of the GAC, but a couple of people had brought it to my attention the same thing had happened to them in phase 1, so I reported on it shortly after it happened to them, and then phase 2 kicked off and the exact same thing happened to me. And I was just, I'm very surprised to see it there. I mean, it was something I reported back in September, 17th of September, but they've seen it. Obviously, they've looked at it, and SB Crumb is on the case. It's being investigated as we speak. So I'll be curious to see what happens with that.
Yeah. And if you guys haven't seen it, Trello.com, they're using the same thing that Apex is using. If you're in the listener lounge, I just posted the link inside the listener lounge. But it's a lot of it's a lot of fun things if you like seeing what game developers actually do for a living. There's one of the items is on backlog that some screens can no longer close a window by touching the screen outside the box. Not too much a problem. Hit the X button, damn it.
Yeah, but some people like to just click out. I like to just click outside the box. I'm one of those lazy gamers. I like to just click outside the box.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, so sorry. So sorry.
Oh,
I like my conveniences. When you're here's the thing, right? When you're playing it on a tablet, hitting that X, fine, because you would naturally do that on a tablet because it's a touchscreen. But when you're playing it on an emulator, hovering, the arrow, that tiny little arrow, the pointer over the X, sometimes, you've got to slow down and then creep up to it and then click. But if you just click outside the box, it's so much faster. Now, like I said, when it's on a tablet, you tap on the screen where the cross is. So I do it when I'm playing the game on a tablet. I just prefer to click outside the box when I'm using BlueStacks.
If you're on an emulator, you can make the screen as big as you want. You can even zoom in. Why? If you can't use a mouse, that's not my problem.
I can use a mouse. It's just faster to just click wherever the mouse pointer is. I'm just, it's just, me being lazy. It's just me being lazy.
I was going to say, that's like you saying, I need to invent a robot that can move grapes from a bunch to my mouth because I don't want to move.
Well, look, think about it this way, right? Think about it from a convenience point of view for me. I do content every single day, and I'm clicking in and out of boxes, 30, 40, 50, 60 times. So I'm saving like 1 or 2 seconds every single episode. And that's 365 I'm saving valuable minutes.
But your
valuable
salary.
hours over a year. Valuable hours over a year by being able to just click outside the box.
When it comes to that stuff, your salary though, you're not paid by the hour.
I'm not paid by the anything. I do it for fun.
And Sir Boss points out, he did the math, you're saving 6 minutes a year. 6 minutes. No.
6 minutes. 6 minutes. That's a very valuable 6 minutes. That 6 minutes might, be the difference between a good cut and a bad cut in an edit. See, Maverick's got my back. He can do a lot in 6 minutes.
Okay, you know what? We've already wasted 6 minutes talking about that you could save 6 minutes. So I just took your time, and there you go.
So, what are we going to go? What do you want to move on to? Do you want to move on to the cache on Camino, as everybody has dubbed it? No one's referring to it as Clash on Camino. Everybody's calling it Cache on Camino.
Let's go ahead and do that. You lead this one, brother.
Okay, so everybody knows, because everybody's been watching the live streams, that it's 4 tiers. Now, everybody knows that that tier 1 and tier 3 are pretty much basic. As long as you've met the requirements for the ships, even with the capital ship. I watched Arnold's content, and he used Mace Windu's capital ship, and he didn't really want to spend. He had the ability mats to kind of like bump him up, but he didn't bother using it. He just used his decent squad, and he pretty much cleared through that in about 8 minutes. Where the problems then kicked in was tier 2, and as we all know, tier 2 is 5 characters. They are all required at 7 stars, and the minimum entry for each of these characters is 17,700 GP. Now, this is tier 2, and it requires Ahsoka Tano, C-3PO, General Kenobi, Padme Amidala, and Shaq T. But
okay, hang on.
17.7 is a minimum requirement.
Okay, let's look at that list real quick. So we've got, you said Ahsoka Tano, right?
Ahsoka Tano, yep.
That's, where's Ahsoka farmable?
Ahsoka is farmable from Cantina.
Okay. And
she's in the Cantina store.
Shaq T is ships.
Shaq T is ships, yeah. And then the other 3 are legendary and raid characters.
Okay.
C-3PO and Padme, both legendary. General Kenobi is a raid character.
So that, to me, there's our 2 characters, because earlier I was talking about Jedi Knight Revan and Darth Revan. I guess there's our 2 characters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, spoiler alert, if you haven't read everything, number 4... Phase 4 uses all farmable characters. So, there's our 2 legendary characters. We got C-3PO, and we have Padme.
Yeah. Well, Malak was the same. Malak required 2 legendaries as well.
Right. And so that's the ones that it would follow. So are we going to see 2 Padmes and 2 C-3POs before it comes back? Or are they going to up the ante of epic confrontations because they're so difficult to prepare for?
Mm-hmm. Well, I can actually also see them, if you remember back to the Q&A we discussed last week, one of the questions was, when will the heroic tank raid be simmable? And they said soon.
They did say soon.
They did say soon, which does make sense now that we know that General Kenobi is one of the characters. So if the event is being simmed, It's probably going to be along the same line as the pit raid. So it's going to be a simmable, and you'll be getting 10 shards. So 330. So 33 events simmed, and you'll get your General Kenobi. So you obviously you're only getting it to 7 stars. You doing the GP, that's all on you, and we all know he is General Carbanti. So it's still going to be a problem gearing him up. But I think that's probably one of the reasons why they said that they were going to sim it, because it just makes it easier and quicker for people to be able to get General Kenobi to 7 stars if they make the heroic tank raid simmable, just like they did the pit.
Now, there was a part about where let's see, I'm trying to find it. And Sir Boss did bring it up, and that's kind of what we were leading into here. He brought it up in the chat, where there would be ways for people to catch up, if you will. So, they were talking about where they would leave up the ability to do the legendaries, like JTR, like Chewbacca and all that, as you advance to that point. Mm-hmm. So, if they do that quality of life, I think that'd be a great way. And yes, and Hellenix points it out here, is that as they see these legendary characters that they want so much, they're going to spend the $500 to get there right away if they don't want to be patient. So... yeah.
Well, that's kind of going to depend on what they put in the store, but in principle, by doing what they suggested they're going to do in the Q&A and simply make all of the legendaries open, so you will be able to do any legendary event as and when you are ready. It does kind of make sense. We are on our second epic confrontation. So we have Malik, we have General Skywalker. Odds are that this is the way forward. I imagine they'll probably throw a legendary character, the occasional legendary character in every now and then. But the trend now is going to be these epic confrontations. And if they continue with the epic confrontation, it looks like they're always going to include at least 2 legendaries in each of these events. And if they're going to put legendaries in, then it makes sense for them to make every single legendary event open, so as an epic confrontation cadence approaches, people can decide whether they do or do not want to, whale out on a legendary event, so that they've got that 7-star character that they then again must then whale out on in order to get up to gear 13 and put whatever relics are necessary for the event on that character.
So, by the way, sadly, Deadpool Kyle's not listening live on this one. He's in the chat, which is a great time. He is talking, he doesn't want people to call it gas. It's either GS or Gen Sky or Genski.
Genski. I like Genski.
But
Genski.
But here's the thing. If people are wailing out, I just want to point out that they are spending gas money.
that also has a nice ring to it.
Exactly. So anyway, so we've got all these different requirements. So you mentioned the 17.7 requirement. By the way, there's a 40k requirement on the ships.
Yeah, there is.
And then there's the 17.7 requirement, but we run into a problem for people who are there at the requirement. Go ahead.
The requirement for the ships or the requirement for Tier 4?
The requirement for Tier 2 even.
Oh, for Tier 2. Yeah, well, a lot of people have been just getting over that 17.7 threshold. There are multiple people that appear to have completed the event. It's just Ian is one of them. And I think he had a couple of characters that were only just over the threshold. And then there are some people that are taking it all the way, the GP of a character all the way to 22,000 with, R3s, tier 3 relics on, and obviously they're still having some issues. I mean, I've watched Arnold Mobile Rangers. I watched a little bit of Ian's. I spoke to a content creator called General Stash, and he showed me what was on his roster, and it was pretty OP. Lots and lots of Relic 2, 3, 4, and 5s, and it still took him 12 hours.
But he got it.
General Stash got it.
Let's get him next week then.
Absolutely. I don't see why not. General Stash, if you're in the chat or if you're listening, we want you next week, mate.
So we'll talk to him since we have Ian this week. We'll definitely talk to General Stash next week on it. But I mean, the one that I watched and was very proud of is our own. He's one of our resident listeners, and I want to publicly tell him I love him. Mandalore. We've had you on a few times. We really, really have to take a look at what Mandalore did as well. He just totally burned through this and had a video up in the first 3 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have. The thing is, I have a lot of people, a lot of clearly very committed people started the event at midnight, 1 o'clock, around that, middle of the night, stupid o'clock time. And obviously worked all the way through the early hours of the morning. Now, I was in bed, so I haven't seen any of that content yet. All I did was get up this morning, do my content, and then as soon as I'd finished editing and uploading mine, it was like, right, who's live at the moment? So I then just went looking for people who were live doing the event at around about 10 o'clock in the morning. So
you should have looked for somebody that already finished it.
Yeah, well, I mean, the first one that I saw was Arnold. And then once I'd finished watching Arnold's, that was when Ranger went live, and I've been, following Ranger. I have Ranger up live in front of me right now. He is on tier 4 as we speak.
Good. So he did have all the characters for tier 3.
Yes, he did have all of the characters for tier 3. Yes, he breezed through tier 3. Absolutely smashed it.
So what were the requirements for tier 3?
The requirements for tier 3 were General Skywalker.
No, it was just having an account.
Yeah, just having an account.
So
everything's just given to you on a plate. I'm trying to think back to other events where a similar thing has happened, and the two that strike me the most are obviously Obi-Wan Kenobi. Needlessly sacrificing his life in the CLS event, and the JTR event where she fights Kylo Ren at the end. That's those. I mean, there may be more, but those are the two that instantly jump to mind.
Exactly. Now, tier 4 is you basically fight the meta with Asajj-led droids.
Mm-hmm. Which kind of sucks because there's no synergy there, and everybody has legitimately brought this up, and I hope that when everybody does redress their grievances with CG regarding the lack of synergy with AV, that they give her at least a minimum rework that does come up with some kind of synergy with separatist droids. She's got the tag. I do believe she's got the tag, but the lack of synergy, she's the least the least favorite person that anybody would pick. You just wouldn't naturally pick AV as a leader to separatist droids. You just wouldn't do it. So maybe it's a hint, maybe they're hinting at the fact that, she is finally going to get a separatist rework, and they're going to put some separatist synergy in there.
Well, I wouldn't put it past them, because they totally, after the first Padme event, which took me 354 times, so I feel Ranger's pain here as he's trying to do this now. It's absolutely a sort of when they go back and they rework something to make something difficult a little bit easier, and then it gets walked over. Because Padme is a walk in the park now with bugs, or with a full droid team if you have Grievous. I mean, also Helenix talks about how all these different things, like the Chewie event and the CLS event and the JTR event, all those, they were all amazing, and it brings me to think, why can't we replay them for even no rewards, just to enjoy something that somebody probably took about 3 months to animate and put the sound in perfectly and all that? Why can't we play that again instead of just enjoying it once? With the exception of the Chewie event where we had to watch that damn cinematic 15 times.
It's funny that you should mention that, actually, because that was one of the most requested QOLs at Star Wars Celebration. I had multiple conversations with multiple developers, and aside from what was your favorite character that you developed, a lot of people and a lot of the developers would actually like to see their hard work in creating legendaries, repeatable events. Obviously you can't get the rewards, there's no rewards to get, but people would like the ability to relive old glories and have another crack at those legendary events. So it's definitely something that I know that the developers would very much like to include in the game themselves. It's not technically QOL, but I think when they bring in this new system of having legendaries running 365 days a year, and you can simply do them when you have the characters ready, that would be a good time for them to, maybe come up with a mythic tier for each of those legendaries, just to make it that little bit harder for people reliving those past glories of doing that event.
Yeah, it's Sir Boss actually kind of embellished on my joke, by the way, earlier about the gas money. I wonder if I should go out onto a corner and just hold a sign that says, "Can you spare some change for gas?" See if I can raise enough to buy General Skywalker.
Yeah, well, there's lots of people. There's lots of people that what is it? DPK. DPK would like to see mythic tiers for Chewie and 3PO. Maverick would love to see a reworked GMY. So there's definitely call for it. There are gamers out there. There are people that play this game that would like to see mythic tiers for various different legendary events. So I don't see why it's not something that they wouldn't do. Maybe it is something they can do as quality of life. I don't really know. It depends how busy the devs are, and when you look at the dev tracker, it does look like they're kept quite busy.
I would like to have another chance at Tier 4 of the Darth Revan event, to be honest with you. I would like to see, now that I know how the kits work better, I'd like to have a chance to see if I could down it without taking multiple tries.
Oh no, I'd like to go back over old legendaries and just complete them to 3 stars. But it was one of the things I never quite understood about a legendary, that it would have 3 stars. So you would complete the tier, and then it would go 1, 2, 3, or it'd go 1, or it'd go 1, 2. Depending on how many characters you lost. And I would comment on it when I was doing it live. I'm like, I don't understand why they have this 3-star system in legendaries, because it's completely and utterly irrelevant. But it would be relevant if they brought it back as a mythic, so you get some mythic title if you complete them all at 3 stars. So you go back and do the legendaries, and you get 3 stars on each tier, and as a result of getting 3, you get some kind of mythic title. I know you love something like that, Paul, because you love chasing titles.
I do love chasing titles, as I mentioned in the Ian interview coming up here soon. There were a lot of other things that came out Did you have anything else on the event aside from this? I mean, I know you're gushing and loving over the kit, but is there anything that you have on this event?
Well, I mean, if I'm being 100% honest, as a free-to-play, I'm really not that bothered about this event. I may seem excited. I'm excited to see what it can do. I'm excited to see what the character's capabilities are. And I'm really, really looking forward to living vicariously through those content creators out there that have got this character. But I'm really not that fussed about it, because it's not something that I'm going to go for. It's not something that I'm ever going to have. Well, at least not definitely not within the next 12 months. At least with Malik, I thought to myself, okay, I could probably get Malik within the next 12 months because I only need to do Darth Revan. But this, there's just too many characters that I would need to farm, and there's too many Gear 13s that I would need to do, and my main free-to-play account, which is the one closest to this event, doesn't even have any Gear 13s. So, we're talking about a character that in all likelihood, I'm never going to have, and that's why I kind of don't care about it. The other opinion that I have on this is the amount of money. I mean, when Jedi Knight Revan came out, people were complaining about it costing $200-300 for those that hadn't prepared to get it free to play. People were complaining about it costing $200-300. Now, I watched Mobile Gamer. I freakiest thing is, I jumped into his live stream just as he was doing his final run, the last run to complete it on T4, and he mentioned on several occasions during that he'd wailed out like $750 in order to get the characters to the required levels in order to complete this event. And obviously I spoke to Private Stash, and he didn't do anything, but it cost him 12 hours of his life. Now, it disappoints me, and it really, really does disappoint me that EA/CG have created an event that either costs hundreds and hundreds of dollars to do, or hours and hours and hours to do. I liked we've all been there trying to just do a legendary through RNG, the minimum requirements, can I do it with Gear 8? Can I do it with Gear 9? And those earlier ones, people would just give up and throw, okay, fine, I'll take them to Gear 11, or fine, I'll take them to Gear 12. That's not something that is possible with these epic confrontations. These epic confrontations may have those 17.7 minimum requirements, but I don't think for a second that anybody is under any illusion that you would be able to actually complete this event with the minimum requirements. The minimum requirements are simply there as a threshold to entry into this event.
By the way, as of it dropped just as we started the show, and it's the first time that I refreshed. We have breaking news, Nev.
Do we?
Yes, the Grand Arena roster lock bug. We were joking about the dev tracker. They're working right now. The roster lock bug, where is this sitting at? It is under General Bugs. General Bugs, not the name of a new character for the Geonosians. But under the General Bugs, it talks about a Grand Arena roster lock bug. Well, guess what? I guess somebody has outed how everything happens, and so they're letting everybody know. About a month ago, we received several reports that some players were able to add Zetas and relics after the lock in Grand Arena. In investigating those instances, we found that it is possible to delay the roster lock mechanism. Currently, a player's roster is locked when they log into the game. That means starting the game and seeing the loading screen. Or when they visit the Grand Arena landing page after the preview phase has expired. This is currently driven by your device communicating with the servers, and in certain circumstances allows relics, Zetas, or new units to show up after the period that should be roster locked. We are working on a fix that will move the roster lock to when the player joins the event, locking whatever players had set at that moment. So they're going to be moving it to when you hit that join button. And they've discovered that the root cause, they discovered the root cause of it, and they are working on the fix, and they're hoping to roll it out in the next 2 weeks. That does not bode well for next week's Grand Arena Championships. That really worries me.
As long as they get it out as soon as physically possible, so that it doesn't cause problems. I mean, here's the thing. They've acknowledged a problem. So anybody that loses rewards as a result of this problem, there has to be some form of restitution. And you would hope that they would, give something back to a player that, had issues regarding this problem within the game.
Yeah, and some players with the introduction of General Anakin Skywalker exposed the issue to other people, and so they are letting us know that they do know about the issue and that they are working on a fix. So I do want to make sure that they understand I'm not throwing them under the bus for this. Because they exposed it to the public and they didn't bring it up to them, didn't bring it up to CG, and they were able to fix it quietly. Hence all the other issues that they talked about. That they've had with the old using your squad arena loadouts and things like that.
Yeah.
They know about the issue and they have been working on a fix. And so they also posted it in the dev tracker to monitor the status. So that was something that I should have saw and clicked on and going, what's this? So I just want to point that out, that we're not throwing them under a bus for this. They addressed it as soon as it became wide knowledge. I didn't even know about that, little I won't even call it a trick, because you're a piece of crap if you use that stuff. If you try to get a leg up on the others of people that don't have knowledge of something, I'm not going to back down on that.
Yeah, no, there's no need to. I think most people would agree with you. Using a hack in order to gain an advantage over your opponent is...
That's not a hack. It's not a hack, though. That's the thing that we have to make sure.
No, not a hack, sorry, an exploit. It's an exploit as opposed to a hack, yes. Using an exploit in order to get one over on your opponent. Here's the thing. If somebody said... if somebody was in GAC and they were up against their opponent and they said, look, I know about this exploit. I'm going to use it, so I'm going to tell you about it so that you can use it against me. At least then it would be a level playing field.
Yeah, but who's to say that person B is not gonna keep that secret from person C and D, when person C will be told by person A, but person D would not know about it, and they're gonna fall all the way down.
I understand using the exploit is wrong. It's bad. If you're gonna gain an unfair advantage over an opponent, it is wrong, and there's no question that it's wrong, and people should not use it, and it is against the terms and conditions. It does say there, it does stipulate one of the items in the terms and conditions of the game is using an exploit to gain an advantage over a player is against the terms of service and can result in a ban from the game. So, if you get caught doing it, you can be banned.
Yep, just don't do it, guys. If you're a listener to our show, play fair. Be nice to each other, damn it. I always say it every single week, and I'll say it again. All right.
Just going to give you an update on how Ranger's doing. Let's do a Ranger update, shall we?
Let's do a Ranger. Let's go live to Ranger.
Well, Ranger is currently buying packs. He is no. He's clearly he's buying stuff to upgrade characters. Now, what he did not do, and what people were saying that he, I think he was very, very reserved by doing T2, because he said to himself and he said to everybody that was listening that he did not want to buy or pay for anything to upgrade in T2 that he then thought he might need for T4. So, it was just a good old-fashioned RNG grind, which is why he was streaming for like 6 to 7 hours before he finally did T2, because he wanted to save any resources that he had to do the Separatists. So if he had problems with Tier 4, then he could use the resources that he'd saved and not used in Tier 2 and work on the characters he requires for T4. And it looks like that's what he's doing at the moment. He's just looking for gear. I think I'm not sure if he's looking to gear 13 any of the characters. I've got no audio. I've just got it on silent. I can just see him scrolling backwards and forwards at the moment.
Really quick, Maverick, he said that you did it with he says in the chat, in the listener lounge, that he has a G12 Magna and a G12 Droideka that he did the event with. The Magna, I am absolutely baffled. Are you serious that you did the event with a Gear 12 Magna Guard? And please tell me what else you had in it with Asajj and with with the rest of the guys. I'm interested in what else you had here. And you know what? We'll give him time to prove to me. I would hope that he would truly prove. I want him to prove to me that he's got General Skywalker. I want him to prove to me what he has. Hopefully he has an upgraded thing. I want to see what he's got coming up here in just a moment. I think we should definitely go to the break and talk to Ian, and we'll come back and check on your Horde account and then interact with the Listener Lounge live on the bridge. What do you think, Neil?
I think that's a sound plan, Paul. Sound plan.
All right, well, we're going to throw it to a break. You're listening to the Escape Pod Cast.
The Escape Pod Cast with Paul Anthony and Neil Andrew Ware.
Hey everyone, Biscuit Weasel here from the planet Coruscant and the HSTR project. Some of you may have seen my latest videos about my modding and Grand Arena strategy, but I want to help you personally. Head on over to patreon.com/biscuitweasel, that's Weasel with a Z, and check out my new Patreon rewards. And while they last, the first 10 people to sign up at the $10 level will get the whole $30 package for their first month. That's patreon.com/biscuitweasel. Remember, that's with a Z. Today.
Does your guild want to tap into their full potential in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes? Yeah! For as low as $1 a month per guild member, your guild can unleash the power of the game in ways you never thought possible. Ooh. Track your arena movements, guild progression, and much, much more. Contact ShittyBill and get one of his shitty bots on your server today. Just look for him on our Discord server and tag or message him for more information. The link for our server is below in the description. Shitty bots, don't let the name fool you.
Hi, this is Cyphermaster SB Crumb, and you're listening to the Escape Pod Cast.
The Escape Pod Cast for Kids. It's really cool.
Welcome back, all my favorite Escape Padawans, to Storytime with the Llama on the Escape Pod Cast for Kids. Last week, we spoke about different ways that new accounts can prepare themselves to enter the squad arena. This week, I'd like to talk about what squads are great for beginners that will help them climb the ranks, whether they begin with a Horde account or not. If you ask most veterans in the game, or do a little bit of research on various YouTube channels or even the forums, many of them will give you the same advice. Start with the Phoenix Squadron. Hera, Ezra, Kanan, Zeb, Chopper, and Sabine are the 6 Phoenix characters available in the game. The 3 characters who are a must in your squad are Hera, since she's the only one with a leadership ability, Ezra, and Kanan. Now, there's a ton of debate over which other 2 toons deserve a spot in your starting lineup. As for me, I suggest Chopper and Zeb in the beginning, because you'll be able to collect those shards much faster in the Cantina and Galactic War stores than the single dark side hard node that Sabine is on. This team works extremely well because of the incredible synergy they have with each other. Hera's leadership ability allows the squad to share each other's uniques, like Chopper's health gain, Zeb's protection gain, and Kanan's counterattack chance, which can easily help turn the tide of any battle. Not to mention, this squad can help you get key legendary characters like Thrawn and the menacing Empire leader, Emperor Palpatine. If the Phoenix Squad doesn't seem like your cup of tea, another viable team is a Bastilla Shan-led Jedi team, with characters like Old Ben, Ezra, Kanan, and Jolee Bindo. Just make sure you've got some pretty strong friends and allies to help you unlock the Bastilla and Jolee Bindo nodes. This team will set you up perfectly to get Grandmaster Yoda, as well as get you on your way to Jedi Knight Revan and Thrawn. Both of these teams will help you get off to a great start, not only in the squad arena, but it'll help you get through Galactic War and set you on the road for a ton of legendary characters in this game. That's all for now. I'll see you next week for story time on the Escape Pod Cast for Kids.
Micaeus Modding Mayhem is the premier remodding service for the game that we all love, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. With some of the most affordable rates in the industry, Micaeus will rebuild your roster from top to bottom and give you consultation on where to go from there. Micaeus has a 100% satisfaction guarantee and lots of useful additional services, including a full cleanup of your mods, loadout pages, PvP plans, and more. Contact Micaeus today on Discord at all lowercase Micaeus number 0127. That's MIKAYAS number 0127, or at micaeusmods@gmail.com. Micaeus Modding Mayhem, the official remodding service of the Escape Pod Cast.
Did you know that if you signed up to become a Patreon, you could get tons of rewards? Force Ghost Scotty could do a roster review for you. Neil Andrew Air could share Grand Arena tactics. Or Paul could even help you get maximum stars in Geonosis Territory Battle. And you even get access into the after show. Sound good? Sign up to be a Patreon today. For as little as $2 a month, you could unlock a ton of potential content and also get closer to the hosts. Head to patreon.com/the Escape Pod to sign up.
Hey there, Escape Podawans. Everyone's favorite llama here to remind you that the Escape Pod Cast is on social media. That's right, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. So give us a like, give us a follow, and stay up to date on all things in-game and in the Escape Pod. Our account links are down in the description or on our Discord server in the Show Links channel. See you on the net.
Receiving incoming transmission. Receiving incoming transmission. Receiving incoming transmission.
And welcome into this incoming transmission of this episode of the Escape Pod Cast. And this week, we have one of the, Nev, one of the most fun, you're absolutely talented with your photoshopping for your screenshots, and you have a really unique take on this. It's just Ian. Welcome to the show, Ian.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us, mate.
Of course.
So, when we were talking about getting you on, we didn't realize that this show was going to be taken over by, General Anakin Skywalker. So, the listeners just heard our takes in the first and second segment, but what is Ian's takes if people haven't been paying attention to your channel?
Oh man, there's so much to this event that kind of freaks me out, and I don't know where to start. But I guess the whole requirements to 17,700. That's just for getting into the event. I'm sure a lot of people out there know that, and a lot of people they data mined this a little bit ago. It's going to be required, or not required. It's going to be recommended rather. You're going to need the 22,000 with a Relic 3 on pretty much everybody for every single phase, except for phase 3, because that's already given to you. And that's going to freak me out the most. I don't know if I want to go to that lengths of like dropping Gear 13 on like a Saj for like phase 4, because that's where I'm going to struggle the most, or B1, I don't know. That's where it's going to freak me out the most.
Yeah, but Ian, you know, this character is a theory crafter's wet dream. It's a theory crafter's wet dream, and I mean, you know, I'm not blowing, you know, smoke up your by any chance, but you know, I've said it before that you and DB Official are probably two of the best, if not the most detailed content creators out there that are, without a shadow of a doubt, very meticulous when it comes to their theory crafting. So, you know, how could you not want this character? Well,
I for sure want it. I for sure want it.
You want it. Do you have everybody ready for tier 2 and tier 4 at the minimum?
So yep. I got for the event. I got everything. Everything is at the required. The 17,700. The one thing that I'm kind of, because you know, for the phase 2, you got Padme team. I don't know, and nobody knows if it's going to be Padme lead or if you can kind of like swap out who you want. If it's going to be like a GK lead, I might not get that done because my Shock T is only going to be Gear 9, and that's going to be kind of annoying. But everybody else is going to be perfect for the event, I think. Gear 12s, maybe Gear 13s, like I said, if I have to drop Gear 13s. But for the most part, I should get it done. If I need to, I can drop, you know, $50, try to get some Gear 13s done. I mean, it's not going to be that much for me. So,
yeah. Well, as people know, you know, you may have it unlocked by now. By the time that this airs, veteran listeners to the show do know that we do record our interviews on Thursday. But you know, we're going to see how far we get. I'm hoping that I can at least damage Soulless one in phase 1.
You just want that title. You just want that title.
I do just want that title. You know, that I want all the titles, but you know, I'm just a completionist.
There you go.
So, you know, I'm really looking forward to seeing what will be able to be played. I'm going to be tuning in to, you know, people that are streaming the unlock. If for some reason I can't do it myself, I've got the droids there. I'm ready for phase 4, but I'm not ready for phase 2. We'll see how that goes. I had to Zeta Ahsoka to get her to 17.7.
Ooh, that's going to be a close one for you.
Yeah. So,
I'm ready for one of the phases. I'm ready for tier 3. I'm not ready for tiers 1, 2, and 4, but I'm ready for tier 3 because, you know, they just give you everything, don't they? Including this ARC Trooper. What's your thoughts on this ARC Trooper, Ian? Do you think that they're bringing it into the event as kind of like a showcase for a future character that they're going to present to us for a marquee, or because there has been a lot of talk about it, and it's unusual for you know, for an individual character like this to be discussed and talked so much if it's just going to be for an event, because same thing happened with Vader and his capital ship, you know, unique ship with Vader, but there wasn't, you know, a lot of hubbub and talk about whether it was going to come in or not. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, like, you know, we have all these events. We got legendaries and stuff like that. We've had some weird characters that were from that era, like the one Endor soldier from the 3PO event. But this guy is going to be released. They already had a kit reveal, so it's going to be totally something new that we haven't seen before. And it's different from his kit in the GOTB, right? So it's absolutely different. The kit itself is absolutely amazing. Like, even for another theory crafters like Wet Dream, like you said about Anakin, I mean, these two characters exactly are like pretty much the same when it comes to theory crafting. There's so much possibilities, you know? And I am extremely excited, actually more so for the ARC Trooper than I am for actual just getting Anakin. Because I love the guy's kit.
It's characters like that. It's characters like this and times like this that I really do wish that the Game Changer program was still running and that it didn't get kind of binned 12 months ago, because, you know, all of the content creators that were Game Changers got access to these characters, and, you know, they would theory craft with them, and the videos would get watched, and everybody would be able to, you know, make up their mind as to whether or not they wanted to go for this character or not. And just don't seem to get that an awful lot anymore.
Yeah. I started my YouTube a bit later. Yeah.
Which is why we have people like you and DB.
Man, I would love to get my hands on one of those test accounts. I know there's probably like a handful of them out there, But I mean, oh my gosh, I would love one of those.
Let me guess, you'd never leave the house, would you?
Probably not.
No, I wouldn't leave the house either. Who doesn't want one of those old school testing accounts? It would be perfect for something like General Skywalker, because you'd have everything all maxed out, and you would just be, in there swapping in and out. I mean, obviously we have the final text from the forums, but where do you think he's going to be the strongest, mate?
In the game modes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. No. Which faction do you think he's going to be the best with? I mean, obviously, he's a Jedi, and he's clones. He's Jedi and 501st, and he's Galactic Republic. But where do you think his forte is going to be? Where's he going to be the most OP?
Well, definitely with his kit and the 501st synergy, it's going to be with those the Echo, the Fives, the Rex, those three. The team that I'm thinking is going to be really nuts is once we get ARC Trooper in the game, throwing an ARC Trooper with those four, you have actually not just 5 but 6, because you had to worry about that turret as well, that are going to be just hitting you nonstop. And with how Anakin works, he's like, I don't even know, man. It's unbelievable how overpowered this guy is with his permanent taunt almost, and then you can't hit him once he goes below 100% HP. But for sure, I would say he's going to be with that team right there. But maybe there's going to be like a counter to this team, like with the JKR, and then you slap in this Anakin. Maybe that's a solid counter. I mean, there's a lot of different potential counters here. So yeah,
just reading over the text for his leadership is just nuts. I mean, while there are other 501st allies, General Skywalker can't drop below 100%. And he advances if he has 100% protection and takes cover if he. It's just advanced taunt, which can't be dispelled or prevented.
You've been
all those characters. Ugh.
You've been gushing over this all episode, Neil.
Yes, well, it's. I'm. See, this is why I'm really glad that I'm keeping my fingers crossed that Ian gets it, because then I will be able to live vicariously through his content, because I am not going to see this character for a year. I have a plan, you see, Ian. I have a plan to get General Skywalker, but it involves parking my main account, which is only 3.5 million. Now I've got characters at 7 stars, but I just don't have the gear, and I don't have the resources to take them to 12s and 13s and do all of that relic crap. So I'm just going to park my account in a Horde account for 12 months. I'm going to hoard crystals and Cantina energy for 12 months, and then I'm going to come out of hiding, and I'm going to have it'd be like a kid on Christmas. I'm going to have so much Cantina energy that I'm going to be able to take, whoever I need to whatever relic level, and I'm going to have crystals to buy whatever packs for any miss. Oh yeah, so that's my plan for getting General Skywalker. Is I'm not going to play my account for a year. I'm just going to park it in a guild and do my fleet arena and collect energy. So hoarding crystals and energy. That's my solution, because I ain't grinding for this character, mate.
But Nev, I've told you, in a year, it's going to be a brand new meta. And
I was just going to say that. Yeah.
No, it won't.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
No, dude, First Order will be the next meta after Anakin. This meta is going to be very brief, because you read into how both Kylos are with their healing, what's it called? Like, they're immune to the percent HP, right? Like Malik is. That is a hard counter to Rex. Rex is probably, I would say, one of the scariest guys in that team. And being able to have a couple guys in that First Order team that can eat that up is extremely valuable. And you like give us a new First Order, whether it's a leadership or like a new kind of support character. What I would love to see is like another attacker, kind of like an executioner, right? Because it kind of lacks a little bit of DPS in that team. I would love to see something with crit hit immunity, that with the advantage, and then with both Kylos being immune to that percent HP. I think that would really counter this team. Not sure if it'll be like a meta team. Maybe it'll be kind of like how Malik came out and then Padme was right after, kind of countered her, or kind of countered Malik a little bit. It could be something like that. I don't know how long this meta will last with Anakin. I don't know.
Well, I don't think it's going to be replaced by First Order because, once Episode 9 is done and CG have done the content regarding Episode 9 and whatever First Order marquee characters or legendaries they put out, that's going to be it. That's it. It's a bit like Phoenix, as soon as the Rebels TV show was done, they were done adding or doing anything for the characters. It was over, that was it. I kind of feel that they might do something similar with First Order, and 2020 is going to be all about what Star Wars content that Disney Plus throws out and dictates to CG. It's like, look, we've got this TV show going on. It's Star Wars characters. Can you introduce them into the game? And new characters will come into the game, but because of General Skywalker, anything that gets brought in is just going to get swatted out of the way. There'll be extra stuff to put in like GW or TW, but it's not going to be anywhere near anything like General Skywalker.
So
a year from now, anyway.
So yeah, we're rehashing the first two segments here, but the main reason that I wanted to bring Ian on is to expose our listeners who aren't on the Discord. I don't know why you're not.
Get that.
Yeah, you definitely have to be. Ian posts great videos. I would say maybe every other day. That'd be a good estimate.
I try to shoot for every day.
You try to shoot for
every other day. Yeah.
He posts these great videos, great theory crafting. As Nev said, you're the Mormon version of DB Official. So
there you go.
What I want to figure out and what I want to do is I want to introduce, how long have you been playing the game? What are your favorite things? We'll get to that here in a second. But, the main question is, how long has It's Just Ian been playing Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes?
Let's see. Game came out, November 2015?
November 15, yep.
Yeah, November 15.
It was a month right after, December 2015.
So
same month as me.
All right. Are you free to play? Are you pay to play? If you're pay to play, are you a minnow, dolphin, whale, or kraken?
Oh man. So, okay, I started the whole YouTube thing like 4 to 5 months ago. And before that, I was completely free to play. I think I started spending pretty, frequently, I guess you could say, a couple months ago. I don't know where I am on the whole, amount spent, and I'd rather not look at that for my own sanity, right? So, if I were to guess, it would be like dolphin, probably.
Okay. Now, do you whale or dolphin for characters, for gear? For both, what's your focus when you decide to push that spend money button? What are you spending money on?
That is a good question. So this event with Anakin was probably the first event I've ever whaled on. I have yet to get a new meta the first time around. I've always gotten it the second, maybe even third time around. So this is my first whale, I guess you could say. I've dropped around $50 so far. If I have dropped another 50, I will, maybe more. But typically, if it's like in a low key type of mode or part of the game where there's like kind of a downtime, I guess you could say, I would work on some gear 12s, get them gear 13. When I am considering spending is on those chirotechs, but pretty much everything else is free to play. I don't spend money on packs unless I think it's a great pack. Like the last one I think I bought was the Galactic Upgrade pack. And outside of that, I probably wouldn't buy anything for packs.
So no relic packs? You didn't buy any relic packs? You didn't buy any Gear 13 packs? You just bought crystals for gear?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
No, I'm...
And also I spend, I think, the first month or so when I was starting to get some revenue on my YouTube, I spent a lot of my first month's earnings on just back into some theory crafting ideas for videos. So like we're talking like $20, $30, even $40 spent just refreshing on the arena, trying to get some cool videos for my YouTube. And that's where the crystals kind of went there. But I haven't done that in a long time.
I don't blame you one bit. I don't, because you creating the content. I have I'm really hoping I can get this guest on sometime in the near future. But the talk of influencers these days, just it truly is. You will influence somebody to say, okay, yeah, maybe I am going to buy into this, or maybe I'm just going to save my money because, I can't get to 2200 Relic 3 and all that stuff. So I'm just going to bide my time and see what comes next, or work my way towards it starting now. So, when it comes to an influencer, I don't blame you for spending money on those certain things. So more power to you, brother.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I like doing it too. I would rather spend, $2K on crystals trying out a new team like this new Anakin rather than spending it on gear, honestly, and characters. That's just how I am. So,
is it going to be? Are you going to go live down the live stream route, Ian, or are you going to be more precise and record everything that you've done so that you can, cut and edit and make something, like a more finished product?
Yeah, for this event, I will for sure stream it tomorrow. I'm not going to wait up for it. I just can't. But I will do a stream. If I do figure out like the best way to beat it, like with what I have, I'll do a video, like a guide, I guess you could say, to how to beat it. But yeah, I'll stream it for sure.
Yeah, just be sure to hit the record button when you're streaming, because I forgot to do that a couple of times, mate.
Yeah,
but no, definitely. I hope that you would. I would hope that you would record your stream, because then, like you said, you can go back into what you did exactly and figure out. Oh, hang on, I did that. That's why that worked, and then you can, cut it down into nice little small snippets. Put one of your funky thumbnails on the video and put it up there as a guide for everybody. Although, when you think how long the event actually lasts, a video guide might not actually work this time around. But anybody that puts together a video guide, the event's probably going to be over by the time people have actually had the time to, cut, paste, edit, and render their videos.
Well, that
how long is it running for?
It's 3 days, and that just means that people have to tune into Ian. They need to listen to this show as soon as possible and tune into Ian right away.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There you go. I think how YouTube and streaming works is like you can finish a live stream and then you wait like an hour or so, and then it turns all of that time of the stream into a video.
It does.
And, replay.
All my streaming gets uploaded. You're about right. It takes about an hour. So after I've done a GAC stream, the 30, 40, 50, 60 minute stream is available as a video straight away. So I don't know if there's a limit on it, because I can imagine when you're streaming this, you're going to need to keep your hot pockets and your drink and your gum, because you're going to be in that chair for like hours. Come up, because just nobody's done it. Nobody knows what the tactics are. I mean, I did hear Mobile Gamer talking about the data mine, and in the data mine, he mentioned that during one of the tiers, there's some IG, there's some Magma Guards in there and some Droidicas in there, and you have to kill the Magma Guards in order to get to the Droidicas, and then in order to get to General Skywalker, you have to kill the Droidicas. But so it's going to be like the Malak event, strategy and tactics, and for anybody like yourself doing it that first time, are you expecting a really, really long live stream? Be honest.
Well, I streamed the Padme event when it was first out, and I didn't have anything. I didn't have the new droids. I didn't have B1 or Droidica. I was rocking a Gear 9 and Gear 10 Magna in B1 or B2 rather. I got it, but man, it took me like I did like a few streams on it too. I did probably like one stream was like 4 hours long. and there's a couple others I did, but yeah, I am strapped in. I will be ready to go for a long stream. That's why I'm going to push my time a little bit back, so I get food in me. I get myself ready for the day, and then boom, it's live stream time, baby.
Oh, please, open your Discord so we can all pop in there and
for sure.
Have a bit of banter with you, mate, while you're on live.
Yeah, we will.
Excellent. So, one of the things we also want to get to know you a little bit better. What are your favorite factions of the Star Wars universe, and what are your favorite factions in this game itself? Do they coincide or no?
They don't. They don't. Just plain and simple, they don't. My favorite part in Star Wars is Jedi, and unfortunately, Jedi Revenant messed that up for me. I don't love him as much. I personally think that they should have had the Jedi Revan be somebody completely else. But hey, maybe this next Jedi Luke after General Anakin Skywalker will be that redemption for me. But as of right now, I don't think Jedi are my favorite. My favorite by far is the Galactic Republic. These guys, I love the prequels. You guys should know that. I love the prequels. So I love my Padme team, the clones, stuff like that.
That's what you grew up with.
Weird thing about me,
that's what you grew up with. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
I did grow up with the prequels, but I grew up before the prequels came out watching the original trilogy. So Empire to me is still the number one film.
Oh, well, no, it's to everybody, it's number one, because it is. It just is. I don't care what anybody says. Empire's number one.
No, episode 1, dude. Phantom Menace. There you go.
No, not
and
episode
that's all the time we have for today. So,
oh man, yeah. I don't know, man. In game, I love the GR. Besides that, just like stuff I love from like the movies and like the whole universe. Scoundrels are pretty cool, and the bounty hunters are also equally as cool. But when you're chatting about just like how my favorites are in game, First Order is one of those I love. And what else? The Ewoks, just some fun, funky different factions that you need kind of like all these different parts for them to work. Not every faction is kind of like that. But yeah, I love the First Order. The Ewoks are fun. And now I'm loving the clones with, hopefully I'll love this next meta with Anakin. So, yeah.
Excellent.
Trying to think which other ones I like.
That's about you like them all from what I could tell from your videos. You like them all because you like to mix and match and see, okay, maybe they didn't think of this. Yes, they're moving a lot towards synergies and teams, but I don't think theory crafting is dead, and Tuskens versus the meta all the way with Urs, and yeah, I mean you've got some amazing teams up your sleeve. What is your favorite? What is your personal favorite off the wall team?
Like right now, or ones I've done in the past, because there's a few of them.
Your go-to team. So you're in GAC. You've had a battle. It's not gone very well.
I got you guys.
Who's your go-to? It's like, right, crap. I didn't mean to lose that. I shouldn't have lost that. Now I need to go to my reserve bet, my reserve team without screwing up how I'm going to, do things. You're not your planned teams, not like you Jedi Knight Revens, because you're playing the game and in your head you're like, right, that's going to go against that. That's going to go against that. That's going to go against that. But you have one team to come in, one team to rule them all, to, come in and save the day when you get that really, really bad RNG. Go.
All right, it's going to be the Troopers. The Troopers are an easy cleanup team, and same with the Ewoks. Those are both equally pretty much the same when it comes to me and cleaning up teams. I also love a wonky team with Jyn Erso lead, some TMR, so we're talking like... who was the guy's name? Cad Bane for his stun, Greedo, some bounty hunters that can have that. And then you slap in Savage. This is really mainly for like a Malik kind of cleanup because you got to throw in some of those guys to beat up Malik. But those three are probably the only ones I've ever really touched when it comes to a cleanup squad, personally, with what I have. Because I would like to think my main squads are modded optimally so I can not have to worry about that. But there are times I have to.
Yeah, the RNG gods don't care about your mods, Ian. They don't care about your mods. Every now and then they'll just look on you and go, "Oh, you think you're going to win that, are you, Ian?"
Say otherwise. Relics say otherwise. my Relic 7 Anakin will say otherwise to a Malik nowadays.
So we are approaching the time that we actually do have to wrap this up. Ian, how do people find you on YouTube? Do you have a Discord me? How do people reach out to It's Just Ian?
Very simple. So just type in on YouTube, It's Just Ian. I should be the first one there. I don't have my Discord memorized, but I do have one. We got around 600-700 people just chilling there. I always help them with whatever I need to, whatever they have questions about. And it's really fun. It's kind of, I would like to think it's a little bit of a mini Operation Metaverse, if you guys know who they are. We like to theorycraft, and we like to help out, and it's a lot of fun.
And it is confirmed. I see General, or not General. I see Qui-Gon Jinn sitting there. It's Just Ian.
Oh yeah.
I just Googled you or YouTube searched you, and it does come up. And once again, I absolutely love the love your Photoshop work of what you do with your splash screens and all that.
It's fun. I love doing it.
So, Ian, any parting words?
Don't want to get too depressed on you guys. I just want to have an optimistic look for this game. You guys got to have fun playing it. Don't think it's like a second job. Have fun doing it. If you guys don't want to go for these meta tunes, always have fun theory crafting these new counters to whatever the next meta is. Personally, I'm going to do that while getting the next meta. I'll do both. But guys, just have fun out there playing the game. That's what this is all about. This is what the community is all about. And there you guys have it.
Yeah, I can't say it any better than that. What do you think, Nev?
I could not agree with that sentiment any more than I possibly do now.
So you heard it here, and it's from 3 people that love this game and want to see this game go on. Yes, we may get upset every once in a while. We may throw a few barbs, but you know what? We love having positive people like It's Just Ian on, and I'm really glad that you could join us this week. And we'll talk to you more in the future, Ian. I absolutely guarantee that. We'll possibly see about borrowing your Skywalker for a spin.
I am down for that, man. Let's do it.
All right. Well, stay tuned. After this break, we're going to talk to Nev about his Horde account. And if you guys have questions, the bridge is right on the other side. You're listening to the Escape Pod Cast.
The Escape Pod Cast with Paul Anthony and Neil Andrew Ware.
Micaeus Modding Mayhem is the premier remodding service for the game that we all love, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. With some of the most affordable rates in the industry, Micaeus will rebuild your roster from top to bottom and give you consultation on where to go from there. Micaeus has a 100% satisfaction guarantee and lots of useful additional services, including a full cleanup of your mods, loadout pages, PvP plans, and more. Contact Micaeus today on Discord at all lowercase Micaeus number 0127. That's MIKAYAS number 0127, or at micaeusmods@gmail.com. Micaeus Modding Mayhem, the official remodding service of the Escape Pod Cast.
Did you know that if you signed up to become a Patreon, you could get tons of rewards? Force Ghost Scotty could do a roster review for you. Neil Andrew Ware could share Grand Arena tactics. Or Paul could even help you get maximum stars in Geonosis Territory Battle. And you even get access into the after show. Sound good? Sign up to be a Patreon today. For as little as $2 a month, you could unlock a ton of potential content and also get closer to the hosts. Head to patreon.com/The Escape Pod to sign up.
The Escape Pod Cast. The Bridge.
And welcome to the bridge on this edition of the Escape Podcast. Neil, I loved that interview. That was fun.
Yes, it was. I thought it was a very, very enjoyable interview. I do. He's so calm and cool. It's like, oh yeah, this, that, and the other. And when you watch his videos, he doesn't get like overexcited. He tries. It's like so focused on giving precise and accurate instructions as to exactly what it is you need to do regarding whatever team he's trying to impress upon you that you need for offense or for defense. It's brilliant. I do love it.
Oh, I absolutely love that too. Now, before we get into your Horde account, we do need to talk about this whole ARC Trooper.
Well, go ahead. Go right ahead. I am no authority on this ARC Trooper because I'm
not ARC Trooper. Is it ARC Trooper? I'm sorry. I'm now for some reason possibly getting confused if it was ARC Trooper or not. It's been a long day, but the fact remains is a lot of people are speculating how this character is going to come about. So let me see here. Yeah,
just while you're checking that out, I will give everybody an update on how Ranger's stream is going. Well, Ranger seems to have been gearing up and spending copious quantities of resources on gearing his droids. He's been getting a lot of help from the person you've just been hearing an interview with. It's Just Ian. It's Just Ian is in the Discord chat for the RSG, and he is giving advice to Ranger left, right, and centre on exactly how to mod his characters. And he is back in there at the moment. So he's clearly the mods that he added to his characters didn't work straight away. So he's looking. I think he's looking for the Gear 12 Plus pieces, because he doesn't seem to have a lot of Gear 13s, and obviously without the Gear 13s he can't really do the relics, but he's got lots of help in there, and I would like to give Ranger a little bit of help myself by reciting a little something I created back during my Pillar series, day 74. This is the RNG prayer, so I want everybody to recite the RNG prayer for Ranger with me. Text is in there. Our Father, who art in a galaxy far, far away, hallowed be thy name. Thy shared bounty come. Thy will be done on Coruscant as it is in the unknown regions. Give us this day our daily RNG, and forgive us our arena transgressions, as we forgive those who transgress against us. And lead us not into temptation, and help us stay on target, and not give in to the dark side. For thine is the force, the light, and the dark, forever and ever. Amen. There you go, Ranger. Little RNG prayer for you, mate. Come on, my friend.
Amen.
Amen. Indeed.
So, all right. So I'm having some weird connection problems. I hope that I can make it all the way to the end of this. So why don't you, while I work on some connection problems to make sure that things are working right, go ahead and take over and talk about the Horde account real quick, and I'll come back with the ARC Trooper.
Come back with the ARC Trooper. Maverick says just jiggle cables. Yeah, no, I tried doing the jiggle cables a couple of live streams ago when I was trying to do Paul's account on GAC, and it went horribly wrong. And I was like literally I was jiggling my network cable and it didn't work. It turns out it was my OBS the whole time. But yes, okay. So I will give everybody, for those who don't know, obviously I used to do the Pillar system as a daily series of videos, and I did that for 365 days, and I still play Pom-Pom-tastic on the GACs live, but I figured it had gone for a year, so I've moved on to a Horde. And if you listened in last week, I explained what the Horde was and where we're going. And let me tell you something, it is, oh my God, is it going so well. I am literally, I'm going to be drowning in crystals a few weeks from now. I kid you not, it is so much fun finishing so high in the arena with, very, very little to actually speak of, because the Horde is kind of there for your boost at the start of the game. It's an equivalent to buying a bunch of crystals. in the store, but without actually buying them because you've just played it for so long. But currently at level 61, I am getting number 1 in Fleet Arena because thankfully Fleet Arena got activated. I went into a new shard at 191 and I spent 2 hours climbing from 191 to number 1, and then the following day I was still there. I'd been knocked back from number 1 to number 3, but because it was 100 crystals for a refresh, I figured I'll just collect 350 and not bother. But exactly the same thing occurred today when I logged in today. So 24 hours have passed and my position hasn't changed because I got lucky. There is there is no whale in my fleet shard, and my fleet shard is now closed. We've had 1,000 people in it, so I am fortunate and lucky enough. Currently, obviously, you know, somebody might turn into a whale later on, but currently I am number 1 or number 2 or number 3 or number 4 in my Fleet Arena shard. Thankfully, there's only 4 people in our shard chat. Literally, there's 4 people in our shard chat, and we basically swap number 1, and somebody ends up in 2nd or 3rd or 4th. So that's going really, really well. And on top of that, the squad arena is getting a lot harder because there are a lot of the accounts that began as whales have obviously they've used up all of their hoarded resources, whether that be sim tickets, cantina energy, or regular energy, along with obviously a bunch of crystals, and they've now become whales. There are some people that are definitely whaling on the hordes that they've started. So I'm assuming that these are gamers that didn't really like the way their old or their original counts were going, and they figured they would cut their losses, start again from a position of strength by hoarding their account, and kind of moved on. So that's the way that the Horde account is going at the moment. I'm finishing top 10 in Squad Arena, number 1 in Fleet, and I am desperately farming my geos like mad so that I can have 3 geos in my fleet. Because at the moment it's Geo Soldier, Geo Spy, and Finn. So yeah, I'd really, really like to get Finn out of there and get him replaced with Sunfac. But Sunfac is not as easy to farm, and his ship is not as easy to farm. It's a 50 unlock for Sunfac and a 50 unlock for his ship. So it's going to take a little bit of time, but I'm sure I'll get there in the end.
Not exactly the easiest.
No, Paul, not the easiest.
So
I mean, don't get me wrong, he comes up. It's the time. It's time consuming because, you know, the other 2 Geo ships unlock at 10, you know, and it's better to have a 1-star Geo than it is, you know, having to, you know, wait around for a 3-star.
So, you know, I found out what the issue is. Apparently, Adobe Audition wanted to update at the same time as the fact that I was using it to record the show.
Ah, okay.
So, you gotta love that. Now, Nev, one of the things, you know, I'm gonna really just quickly talk about this Arc Trooper kit. It's a basic with 1 special and 2 different uniques. It summons a turret, it deals damage to an enemy, and it will it'll have the blaster turret assist whenever it uses an ability during its turn. So it uses a lot of assisting, which can be a problem against a Traya team.
Mm-hmm.
But it also does. It's also a 6th character, so that could be another problem. But I do want to congratulate you on the Horde account.
Oh, you did that on purpose.
I did do that one on purpose because somebody told me that I need to enunciate the D, so I waited for a second, just like I talk about the podcast. So it's the Horde account. Now, that being said, where do you think this Arc Trooper is going to be a marquee? Do you think that it is going to be an instantly farmable character like the Game Boy Advance was? Or do you think that this is what I think it is? I think that it's a territory battle reward. Because the way that they said it when they introduced it, they said, once you unlock ARC Trooper.
To be honest with you, I think it's going to be the Monday. It's going to be Jedi Master Monday as the reward. I do think that we're still going to get a couple of clone troopers. Right? I do still think that we're going to get a couple of clone troopers, and the reason for that is 3 of the current clone troopers have now got the 501st tag. Obviously, Ahsoka's got the 501st tag. And now you've got General Skywalker. So you've got Jensky, 3 501st clones, and you've got Ahsoka. Now that leaves 2, and that leaves 2 clones.
You still have ARC Trooper. ARC Trooper is 501st. So there's a 4th, and then as they said on in the Q&A, you can send Ahsoka back to your Padme team.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not thinking of sending Ahsoka back to the Padme team. I'm thinking in terms of Shak Ti. I'm thinking in terms of her being the lead for 4 clone troopers. So you've got what I'm saying is you've got with Jensky, you've got 5 characters with the 501st tag. Okay, so if they bring in a couple more clones, so that Shak Ti's got a full squad of clones, then that'll be good for Territory Wars. That'll be good for TB. It'll be good for GAC. And then regarding Padme, and obviously General Kenobi, Padme will have General Kenobi. She'll have regular Anakin, and then just throw a couple of Jedi in there. Any Galactic Republic Jedi. Mace Windu's still got his rework to go, and maybe there's going to be other reworks further down the line. There are going to be other Jedis, and maybe it is the Kiana Mundi that is the missing piece that's going to be the replacement for Ahsoka in the 501st. Because with that 501st tag for Ahsoka, it makes more sense to put her with Jensky. And then you need a replacement for her, and I just think, yes, I know that there's a synergy with, bitch Anakin and boss Anakin. I'm going to refer to them as bitch and boss Anakin. So you've got bitch Anakin, you've got bitch crybaby Anakin, right? Does have that synergy with Ahsoka, but with her out of the picture and with the 501st, you need a replacement in that Padme team, and I think the Kiana Mundi is the perfect character to replace Ahsoka, and then throw another Jedi in there. I think Mace Windu getting thrown in there, rework him. I think that it would make such an OP team. That's what I'm calling anyway.
So this is.
I'm taking a leaf out of Urza's book because regular Anakin, Jedi Anakin Skywalker, he is a bit of a bitch, and General Skywalker, Jensky, he's a boss. He looks boss as hell. So there's a lot of argument and bickering going around at the moment as to what do we call General Skywalker? Is it Gen Sky or Jensky or General Skywalker or Gas? And how about just Boss Skywalker and how about Boss Anakin and Bitch Anakin? That'll work.
I don't think they would say that on the forums, but I mean it's great. They refuse to call the MILF. They refuse to call that the Millennium Falcon the MILF. What did they call it? The Hammer, Han's Millennium Falcon, HMR or something like that. Anyway, here's one thing that I would love to see happen with this game, but it would cause a little bit of an uproar. But it comes from the Fantasy Flight games that I love to call that I love to call back to, that I love to play. And yeah, I think that you should have a unique tag on each character. So if you have Sidious, you can't have Palpatine. If you have young Han Solo, you can't have old Han Solo. Yes, and it would stop a you couldn't have Boss Anakin and Vader. Unique tags, so you could only bring one instance of a character into a team, I think would also synergize a lot of this whole team building and things like that. It also encourages, am I going to bring this version of Han or am I going to bring this version of Han? Instead of Maverick's 5-man Han squad, you would have a one Han that you would choose out of the 5 if you wanted to bring a Han in there. Yeah, it's kitschy. It's funny to pick Vandor Chewbacca and put him with veteran Chewbacca. It's funny, but honestly.
So what, would your unique tags stop that from occurring?
It would stop that from occurring. It stops it from occurring in deck building and Destiny. It stops it occurring from having multiple versions of Vader. You can't have Vader as a crew and still pilot Vader's TIE Advanced in X-Wing. If you want the power of Vader as one of your crew members, you can't fly his very powerful ship in X-Wing. If you want to bring in, a bunch of different characters in Legion to field your battle, you cannot use multiple versions. You can't use the Commando version of Darth Vader, and you can't use the Commander version of Darth Vader, because it would just be overpowerful. It simulates actual battles that you can do. Otherwise, right now, honestly, we're doing Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes cloning vats.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, with something like that it creates restrictions. Okay.
It does. Oh no.
It would. Well, you just said that if certain unique tags would not be able to be paired with each other, that it would stop various different team makeups, and we all know from experience that does not work. I mean, think back to the Territory War, where they restricted what characters could and could not be used, and they asked the community to vote on characters.
I'm sorry.
That would be. I just think that if you were to apply unique tag, and I understand where you're coming from.
I'm just saying this is what I'm trying to say.
Let's keep the hands separate so that you can't put them in a team, or
you cannot.
Keep the Chewies separate.
Here's the thing: you cannot violate the time-space continuum. There is no time travel. Well, there is time travel in Star Wars thanks to Rebels, but there is no time travel to where you can have the same person in the same place.
Yes, but we've got canon and non-canon. So we've the time space. The time space continuum's already been breached because we have canon and non-canon characters.
You and I talked about this in Star Trek, like in depth on Wednesday when we were.
Well, yeah, exactly. You've got canon Star Trek and you've got Prime Star Trek, and some people like one and some people like the other. Some people do not like the new canon. Some people prefer the old canon. Some people prefer the legends. So we've already got a lot of canon and non-canon characters in the game, and I've got my fingers crossed. I've got everything crossed that within the next couple of years they introduce some more characters that are outside of the the Disney canon, the Disney fan fiction. Because let's be honest, the Disney fan fiction isn't as good as some of the Legends and extended universe fan fiction. But I think it would restrict what people could do if you try and make everything canon within the game. And I understand where you're coming from. Let's not have original trilogy mixing with prequel trilogy.
I'm fine
let's
with
not
that.
Have prequel trilogy mixing with, sequel trilogy. So I can get where you're coming from. I just think that it would be a lost cause.
I'm fine with that in this holographic, as they're saying, as says, all the characters are holograms in a holographic game. I'm fine with that, but I would say that it would be a true makeup that you could not have Sidious and Palpatine because they are the same person. Oh, by the way, spoiler alert. Also, if that's a spoiler alert for you, let me show you the door. This is a Star Wars podcast. Did I lose you, Neil?
Yeah, you lost me. Sorry, what the hell was that?
I don't know.
I lost you. I completely lost your audio then.
What was the last thing that you heard?
I heard you talking about Zaz's. What Zaz's made his point to.
Yeah, so, I told him that, sure, it's holograms in a holographic game, but if they're the same person, you should not be able to play the same person in the same team. You can't use Sidious and Palpatine. That was my point. Then I made a really funny Savage joke, and I'll just edit that out later.
You can keep it in if you want, and shorten the gap between me actually cottoning onto the fact that you were speaking, but I wasn't hearing what you were saying.
Okay.
I understand where you're coming from. I just don't see. I'm with Zaz. It's holograms in a holographic game. I wouldn't see the point in making specific restrictions like you said. No Vader with Anakin, no Sidious with Palpatine.
Yeah, that's the only restriction.
No two hands, no two Chewies, no two layers. And I would I would get that, but in a lot of cases, a lot of these multiplied characters aren't that good. And the characters that aren't that good, you should be able to put them wherever the hell you like, if it might make them better, especially if you need to put a bunch of characters together for a GAC battle or a TW battle. People like to pile all those 70k teams on their backs, on their back lines in territory wars. What if you need to create, what if you need to put 3 layers together in order to make a 70k team on the back wall of TW, but you can't because there's some unique tag stopping you from putting all those characters together, and then you can't put together that 70k team for your, or your 72k team for the back wall of your TW. And what about GAC?
I have no
sometimes
regrets.
people like to be able to take their trash, or they like to be able to take characters for squads that they're still working on. You might have 3 rogue squadrons. You might not have a full 5-man rogue squadron team, and you might think, well, I've got a Rolo, and I've got a original OT layer. Maybe I'll just throw all 5 of them together and put them on the back. That's the kind of thing it would create potential conflicts, and I get why you want to do it. It's making the game more pure.
And it's not just pure. It's just a lot of people are talking about, how they have all these different things that can cause problems. I just think it's a better team building strategy that came from games that I've played inside the Star Wars gaming universe that I actually love. I really hope that we could possibly get some people on from Fantasy Flight to talk about this, because, if for some reason this game ever were to go, I'd love to change this podcast into Fantasy Flight or something. I want to keep it Star Wars,
Fallen Order.
How much information can you put out about a single player game? But
that is a good point, actually. Yeah, 30 hours after purchasing that game, it's going to be done until they come up with the online version that people can go in and battle against each other with.
Yeah, who knows? But it's
we can keep our fingers crossed that this new mobile Lego Star Wars game is good. I'm hoping that that's good. I did see. Mobile Gamer got his hands on it. Apparently it was available from Indonesia or something like that. You'd need an Indonesian iOS account in order to get it up and running, but you could, if you really wanted to, do that. It looked interesting, but I'll be curious to see what it's like once it's gone through the whole beta phase and it gets released to the general public globally. But that could be a lot of fun. So if SWGOH goes down the pan 2-3 years from now, Star Wars Lego on mobile will be, 2-3 years into its run, and we'll be whinging and moaning and complaining about how the power creep and the power leap has ruined that game for us.
Well, we all know that once they bring in Commander Benny the Spaceman, that it's all over for that game.
Spaceman!
Spaceship! For those that
as long as they get him to do the voice for it, yeah, sure.
For those that actually are in the listener lounge and on Discord, I do have a Benny the Spaceman, a Gear 13 Relic 7 Benny the Spaceman with 3 Zetas. That is my personal little picture that I use. So, all right, Neil, this has been a great show. I really, really had a lot of fun with this show. Is there anything that we have not covered?
I don't believe so. I was watching the Rangers stream for his General Skywalker.
Yeah, hold on. Ranger update. What's our Ranger update for the end of the show?
The stream ended. I don't think he got it.
Oh.
I mean, I was watching, I was waiting, and I just don't think, I just don't think he did it. I'm not sure. I mean, the stream is 9 hours and 28 minutes long. 9 hours and 28 minutes long, and I've just scrolled all the way to the end, and I'm not seeing anything.
Oh, man.
So, it might be that he... It might be that he just hasn't got him yet. Maybe he needs a few more bits and pieces. But
let's tune in tomorrow to the Jedi. What is Jedi Academy that they do in the morning?
It's not the Jedi Council. I think it's the Jedi Council.
I think it's Jedi Academy. I think it's Academy.
But there'll be lots of people on that show. So hopefully, Ranger's going to go away, get some sleep. Get all refreshed, come back, kick the event's ass.
It's my second favorite show to watch on Saturday mornings, aside from College Game Day, because I love my football. my American football for you there, Nev.
Yes, your American football.
All right. Well, with that being said, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure to do this show for you guys. If you are Patreon, we'll see you guys in the after show coming up in just a little bit. But thank you to every single one of our listeners, whether it be on podcast, whether it be on YouTube. Become a Patreon if you can. It would mean a lot to us. And it does go to support both Nev, I, and some of it even goes to Scotty. So, we would love to be able to expand helping out Scotty, especially in the current situation that Scotty is in. Guys, it's not good. If you can become a Patreon, it will immediately go... anything that I make for the rest of the month will go over to Scotty starting this show. So if you can help him out, please help him out. And guys, we will see you all next week. It's time. It's time. So, Nev, push the button.
You got it, mate. Ta-ta for now, folks.
What's going on? Where the hell are we? Paris?
Thank you for pressing the self-destruct button.
Attention! This is Colonel Sanders in forward command. Abandon ship! Abandon ship! All personnel proceed to escape pods. Close down the circuits. Evacuate the city. Self-destruct mechanism has been activated. Abandon ship! Where is it? Where is it? It's gonna be here. Out of order! Even in the future, nothing works.
This ship will self-destruct in exactly 10 seconds. Counting down. 10, 9, 8, 6.
6! What happened to 7?
Just kidding. 3, 2, 1. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Hello friends, this is Thaddeus from Going Nerdy. The Escape Podcast was filmed in front of a live studio audience full of tweaked out murder bears.
Sit, Boo Boo, sit. Good dog.